cuba satu dua tiga. Baru naik suara aku dah jadi ekor. Ekor bukan ekor ekor. Boleh naik lagi, up lagi, up lagi, up lagi. Okay, suara dah macam dalam dua ekor. Boleh. Music ni akan boleh sebenarnya. Okay, ni monitor monitor sebut
voice dan jadi voice suara aku dah berubah sekarang. Suara lagi boleh bunyi orang kacau kau tu malah bukan suara asal kau boleh guna.
Jadi aku tekankan sini kalau kau nak recording ke apa tu semua disarankan guna shockwave, okay? Memang best. Dia punya macam lebih kurang kuasa tambahan untuk kuatkan lagi suara, okay? Okay, kita beralih kepada MC. MC ni macam DJ, lebih kurang DJ. Okay? Suara biasa-biasa saja, okay?
Hey, you want to get leaner, stronger, learn some cool calisthenics, bodyweight skills? What? Here is a Manfrotto tripod. It's kind of overkill for what you would need for a YouTube studio. So I typically recommend a Rebelli tripod that I'll link up. It's about around $20, and that's really more than enough. At least for these types of shots, it's super simple if you have one shot. Now, a question that we get asked is, do you shoot with two angles? Because a lot of videos include like product shots and they include a second an angle. And we could, but actually usually what we do is we just shoot the B-roll after the video is done. We just kind of a checklist, and we shoot those shots separately. So one thing that is nice for if you're going to create any separate shots is having a fluid head. What you want to search for is a tripod with a fluid head or a video head on it. And that's going to allow you to do some smooth panning product shots up and down. And so this Manfrotto tripod is good for that. So if that's part of the content that you want to include, you might want to consider investing in a good tripod. All right, the second aspect of this studio is lighting. And there's really two components to the lighting. The first are these Fogatech bicolor LED lights. These are a killer light kit. I actually have a dedicated video to those. I'll link it up on the YouTube card so you can check that out. But what's nice about bicolor is that these are actually, you're able to do daylight, and so we have sunlight coming through the back window there right now. And so it can match that color, but at night, you actually, there's two different colors of bulbs, and you can mix them. It actually can put off like a warmer color, which is going to match usually the light bulbs around your house. So bicolor lighting makes these very versatile for just anything that we want to do for lighting the set in general. And then it's kind of a fill light, and for a lot of other applications, we use a halo prismatic LED version, which is typically when we're back on the colors and those background aesthetics. This whole set, this whole kind of loft area, experiment with different shooting positions. It's actually a guide where I go through this equipment as well as every different piece of equipment that I use as far as cameras, lighting, tripods, things like that. So you can have content creator of any kind, you need to start using a list of videos. I am filmmaker, host, and creator. When you're getting started in video, it can be frustrating because there's a lot to learn when it comes to the camera settings and what gear do you need. So in this video, I'm going to be going through step by step how to create a YouTube video with the gear that I'm using, the exact settings on this Canon M50 that are going to be relevant for any kind of DSLR or mirrorless camera that you're using, and then ultimately how to edit it all together coming up. Hey, what's up, Sean Count here, and this is Technique. We give you the best tips and tools to build a online video. On this channel, we do a lot of tech reviews, how to build your influence for social media. So if you're new here, consider subscribing. But hey, we're starting a four-part series where we're going to be going through how to shoot a great YouTube video with a DSLR or mirrorless camera like the Canon M50 or the SL2. We're going to be talking about how to shoot thumbnails and go from shooting the photos to editing them, and how to edit the video and then also upload it. So we're going to take a concept to completion of creating YouTube content. So let's just dive into it right now with the gear we're going to use to create this video. So for the first part, let's get started with the exact gear we're using. And actually, we just put together a brand new guide that you can grab at thinkgearguide.com where we'll list out everything. I'll link it out in the description. But our main camera for this shoot is the Canon M50. The reason I love this camera is because at around $600 with the kit lens, it's really the best all-around camera for YouTube in my opinion still. I mean, the flip screen, the mic input, we'll talk about some of those things. But in the gear guide, we cover all types of different cameras for different budgets. So definitely check that out. But for the gear we're using, we've got the camera. The main lens I'm going to be using for the video I'm creating for my other channel, Sean Thinks, is the 11 to 22 lens because it's wide, really good for small and tight shots. shoot, we'll use this Royal light. And then I also have the kit lens. We're not really going to be using that today, but we are going to be using our 22 millimeter pancake lens a little bit later on for a nice crispy shot with a blurry background. And then finally, I've got a KF concept tripod here that I'm going to be using. I'm going to be creating this video as a solo creator, like many of us are in the community, right? And so this is the full kit. I've got an SD card in there, and altogether you can pick all this up for a little bit under $1,000. You don't need all of this to get started, but this is sort of like the ultimate kit, right? To create some killer YouTube videos. So we're gonna start in just a second, but now let's talk about the settings before we start shooting. All right, now go ahead and grab your camera, no matter what camera you have to follow along, but if you've got your N50, grab it. And normally when you get started shooting video, you kind of hit video mode on the top of the camera. And that's a great way to start. When you do that, you can actually go into that video mode and you can put it on auto exposure. If you want the fastest way to get your camera set up and running, auto exposure can be auto everything. It might not look the best in some motion in some situations, but it's really nice. Now you can also do manual, and we love manual. And if you want every single detail to be adjusted, that's a great option too. But we've kind of figured out a hybrid mode for a simple way to do auto, and we'll show you what that is. So we're actually going to start with TV on the top, which is shutter priority. And you can look that up for your camera. When it's in shutter priority, that allows us to prioritize what will make the video look the best. So let's talk about it. In shutter priority, what we're going to do is hit the Q and we'll go through our settings. Now, first of all, we're going to do auto light balance just so it's quick and fast. We're going to do auto picture style just so the colors look nice. If you get a color grade later, I would shoot on neutral, but because we want this to be a quick edit and export, drop it on YouTube, we're going to have auto light balance, auto on that picture profile. And then I'm going to choose an autofocus mode on my face, at least initially, when I'm vlogging and I'm on camera. I'm going to be shooting a video for my Sean channel of a home office tour. And so when I'm on camera, I'll do the face focus. And then when I'm shooting room shots, I can do kind of zone focus and tap certain areas. But then the biggest thing here now is our frame rate. And so if you want 24 frames a second, which is kind of a film look, you can choose that. If you want more slow motion or faster, if you're doing sports or something, you can do 60 frames. But typically, I shoot at 29.97 or 30 frames a second. Now, once you pick your frame rate, so pick 29 frames a second, 1080p is perfect, is then your shutter follows the 180-degree rule, which means if you're shooting 30 frames a second, you want your shutter speed at 60. If you're shooting 24 frames a second, you want your shutter speed at 50. Again, it's double whatever your frame rate is. And so the cool thing about shutter priority is it's going to always keep our shutter at 60. Therefore, the motion will always look good in the video. And then finally, we're going to go over to ISO here and actually put it on auto. So that way, the camera will adjust the lighting brighter or darker accordingly. Now, the final thing to note here is that this lens is we're picking it because we're shooting these wide room shots and it's really good for vlogging. It's the 11 to 22 camera lens. But because the aperture is f4, it's a little bit dark. So the ISO might go a little bit high, but we're just going to live with that. It is what it is, and ISO is where we're going to get that lighting. Here's what it means is that if you want your video quality to look the best, you probably want to go to ISO 400 or 800. If you want to just kind of vlog and get it with you and you don't have extra lighting, well then it might go higher and it's going to do it better image quality. One thing I love about ISO is that lower is going to be not as much light being let in, but it's going to be a better image quality if you get enough light in to shoot outdoors. The higher you go, the more grainy the image is and the more quality color. So sometimes you need to go higher to get the light, but keeping it as low as possible will keep your image quality as high as possible. So with that, we're going to shoot. Okay, so I'm about to get started doing my home office tour shoots here. The light setting is this. Now, because I'm going to be vlogging like this shopping light is perfect. It's a $25 shopping light. And this one setting that I love on it is it has a plus 10 dB. Now, some lights have plus 20. A lot of times that's too much or it'll make the audio too loud. So I don't know. So I actually have a mic on. I've got just the high pass filter, just that normal. And then I've got the plus 10 dB. So it's cool. And so then it's always the menu. because it's searching for voices. So when it's on manual, it means the audio is locked. And so what's nice here is I can then take this setting right here and just get the gain perfect for my voice. And so if I'm right in front of the camera, I want it to be never red and only hitting that kind of 12 dB. That's our target. So if I'm in yellow, I'm in front of the camera, I go, okay, that's nice and clean. If I get a little bit further, and so that is going to be really crispy audio settings. Our shotgun mic set up, our audio levels are ready, all of our camera settings are ready. So I'm ready to shoot my video. So one of the reasons why I love this setup is, of course, the flip screen, so I can always get a good shot composition of myself on camera. I love the wide angle lens, especially for like a room tour video because it gets very wide shots. But then I also love this Joby tripod because I can not just vlog with it and take people with me, but then I can quickly set it down and get a nice shot like this. So throughout this video, I'm going to be moving from room to room, and this is a very versatile setup for all that kind of after shooting a lot of scenes in vlog mode, I'm actually going to be getting behind the camera now. And so a quick tip is you can just flip your shotgun mic, so that'll keep the audio obviously going in the right direction and clean and crispy. And then I also like to actually use the Joby like this, where I tighten it down and I get an added photo of contact. So now the camera can actually get a very steady shot if I want to walk people through the home office, give private tour. I can zoom in. And the one other thing I'm going to do here is switch the focus mode from base focus to zone focus. So now I can just tap on exactly what I want to be in focus, and it's not going to be hunting for faces and potentially having focus issues. Over here, that's also kind of beautiful shot. So you can see I think I like views, I like the All right, so let's talk about a quick tip to help you organize your footage when you're creating YouTube videos. So I've been shooting this home office tour. I shot it in here, in the loft, in the other office. I shot behind the camera, in front of the camera. But what I'm considering all of that is a term to remember. It's called A-roll. In editing, it's going to be the base layer of video footage. And the A-roll is typically the person on camera. It's where my audio is, where the main kind of narration is, etc. And then you've probably heard the term B-roll. The reason it's called B-roll is then it's any extra clips that we would layer on top of the A-roll. So maybe while I'm sitting in a chair describing something, I can lay over a clip of the thing I'm describing. And so for the next part of the shoot, now that I've basically finished shooting the A-roll, I actually want to switch lenses. And so the reason I mentioned all the gear at the beginning was so that we can use a different lens, and that is the Pancake 22mm f2. Now there's a couple reasons to do this, but one of the main reasons is the aperture. And what I mean is that f2. This guy is f4, this one is f2. That is a big difference. What a faster aperture, and faster is the lower number, what an f2 aperture will do for you is allow the image to be better in lower light. It basically is a wider aperture, it lets more light into the camera. And so in these darker scenes, like when I'm filming over here on f4, and remember our auto ISO settings, there's actually not a ton of light in these corners. This lens will make that look beautiful and be able to do better in lower light situations. This lens, not as much. And then the other thing that f2 is going to do for us is it's going to give us a shallow depth of field and a blurry background. So actually, before I finish out this video shooting some B-roll, what I'm going to do is put the camera on this tripod, and that's what I'm going to use this for. I'm going to use this tripod to get some smooth panning shots of the room. Again, this is a room tour, kind of home office tour. And so what I can do on here is this KNF tripod has a nice smooth panning. I'm going to get some smooth panning shots, and I'm going to get a shot where I mount the camera on here. I'm much further away, and then that's what we're going to use this Boya mic for. This mic is around $20. It's lavalier like the mic that we're recording this Think Media video on. And so that way, if I get further away, I can get that blurry background. I can get the good audio, because if I'm too far away from my shotgun mic, the audio is not going to be as good. So thanks for coming along with me for a quick tour through the Think Media offices. If you want to see any of the various decor, now, could you skip past these other lenses and even this mic and still finish out this video? Of course. But I just kind of wanted to give you the complete kit that I would use so that I feel ready to create all the content necessary to tell a great story on YouTube. All right, and so I just finished up shooting all of the B-roll clips that I wanted to shoot. Of course, I shot all the A-roll, and so that pretty much covers it. We have the gear, right, the settings. We went and shot all of our clips. But there's one thing we need to do before we get to editing, and that is create the thumbnail. One of the biggest things people miss on YouTube is being like, oh shoot, I'm just going to pull a clip out of the video for the thumbnail. I recommend actually shooting specific thumbnail photography, and then I've got some tips in Photoshop for editing your thumbnail. So that's part 2 of this video. If you want to watch that, click or tap the YouTube card, or we'll link to the entire series in the description below. In part 3, I'm going to go through how I edit this video. And then in part 4, we'll talk about the best export settings and actually getting it uploaded onto YouTube. So check out the whole series. And remember, you can actually download a complete gear guide with other tutorials, tips for smartphone accessories, not just the Canon M50, but all kinds of different cameras we recommend here at Think Media. Grab that for free at thinkgearguide.com. I'll link to that in the description below as well. Question of the day: do you have any questions about shooting videos? What kind of camera are you using? Are you just using your phone? How do you edit? Where are you getting stuck? What are your challenges? Because we're definitely going to shoot some future tutorial series like this. So let me know in the comment section below. Smash the like button if you got value on this video, and I will see you in the next one. Peace. So when it comes to getting views and growing your YouTube channel, thumbnails are a huge deal. So in this video, I'm going to be sharing a few tips from my thumbnail process. And we're going to be covering the actual photography of shooting the thumbnails. Then we're going to take them over to Photoshop and just go through some basics about making your thumbnails pop more so people click on them, so you can get more views on your video. All that's coming up right now. Hey, what's up? Sean Cannell here with Think Media, bringing you the best tips and tools for building your influence with online video. And we're actually in a 4-part series all about how to produce YouTube videos that get more views. In part 1, we covered how to shoot a YouTube video. And I just finished up shooting with the Canon M50 here, a tutorial that if you missed that, if you want to watch it, I'll link to it on the YouTube card and put a link to it in the description below. And really, it's something you can follow along with any DSLR mirrorless camera. But before we get to editing, which will be part 3, we need to create our thumbnails. And the reason we have a dedicated video just for thumbnails is because it's that big of a deal. Now, one of the biggest mistakes people make, I think, is they forget to actually shoot intentional thumbnails. Have you ever done that before? Let me know in the comments. You like finish up editing and then you go, oh shoot, what should the thumbnail be? And you look for a screenshot. I recommend shooting intentional photos that you think about. What are my emotions on my face? What am I doing in the image? What would people want to click on? And so let's just dive into it right now. All right, now I should mention that if you want to watch the final video from this tutorial series, it's over on my Sean Cannell channel. What it's all about is a home office walkthrough with some home office decor ideas. And so what I want in the thumbnail is some way to show that off. And so what is cool about if you're shooting thumbnails by yourself, I recommend having a tripod and using the camera timer. And maybe you put yourself in front of like a simple background or whatnot and start the timer. You could also use the app. So if you use your phone, you can fire off photos from your camera in case you're creating as a solo creator and you need to go shoot your own thumbnails. In this case, I'm going to put this in kind of a selfie mode. So I've got my Joby 3K on here, and we are actually going to set this in aperture priority, which is going to focus on the aperture. That's going to be at as low as it can go, f4, because the 10 to 22 lens, that's as low as it can go. And then on top of that, we're just going to pretty much do ISO auto because that'll get the lighting perfect. And I'm going to go to Q here, go to the timer, and just put it in the selfie timer, 2 seconds. 10 would be fine, but that's a long time to wait. So it's nice that the M50 has this 2-second timer. And then I'm going to, with the flip screen here, be able to compose the shot. And so as it is a home office tour, I'm going to be thinking about where am I looking? I want to make sure I'm looking at the lens, not the selfie screen. Or maybe I want to look to the left or the right. So when it comes to thumbnails, one of the biggest things that I think about is emotion. A couple tips on thumbnails. Usually people in the thumbnails is stronger. On YouTube, tests have shown that if you see people's eyes, you see emotions on their face, it can really pull you in. Now, that gets exaggerated, and we've all seen those really bright thumbnails with crazy faces, but I think there's something to it. So always include your own style. So my goal here would be to think about where am I in the shot, and think about kind of the background of the office here. And then all I got to do to start firing off some photos is do that 2-second timer. It's got the crispy photo on there. Now, another tip here is shoot multiple photos. For big videos that are very important to us, sometimes we even shoot photos in different places. Like maybe I want to shoot one out there or here. I think this is going to be perfect.